There comes a moment in every leader's life, a moment when they must choose to hold on tighter or to rise higher, to carry everything alone or to build something greater than themselves. Because here's the truth most people never understand. You can work yourself to death chasing success, or you can build a system that multiplies it. And that system begins with one word: delegation. But not the kind of delegation that feels like dumping tasks. Not the kind that comes from panic or exhaustion. The kind that comes from clarity, from knowing that your time is not just valuable, it's irreplaceable. Look around at every extraordinary visionary, from Andrew Carnegie to Henry Ford, from Oprah to Steve Jobs. They didn't build empires by doing it all. They built empires by building people. They learned the art of effective delegation, not as a business tactic, but as a philosophy. Because delegation, when done right, isn't about doing less. It's about creating more. More time for vision, more space for strategy, more room for mastery. But it starts with a radical shift in identity. You have to stop seeing yourself as a worker and start seeing yourself as a conductor. The one who doesn't just play the instruments, but orchestrates the entire symphony. Because the greatest minds in history didn't get there by talent alone. They got there by trusting others to carry pieces of the vision. Carnegie once said, "The ability to delegate responsibility is the most important skill any leader can possess." And he meant it. He went from a poor Scottish immigrant to the wealthiest man on earth, not by doing more than everyone else, but by empowering better. And that's the difference. Anyone can offload work, but a true leader elevates others in the process. They delegate not out of desperation, but from design. They delegate not because they're overwhelmed, but because they're focused. They know exactly where their time is worth the most, and they protect it ruthlessly, because time is your most precious currency. And delegation is how you invest it. But it takes courage. It takes humility. You have to let go of perfectionism. You have to release the addiction to control. You have to trust that someone else can rise to the standard. If you teach them, if you guide them, if you lead like a builder, not a bottleneck. The bottleneck says, "No one can do it like me." The builder says, "Let me show someone how to do it better." That shift changes everything, because when you begin to delegate with intention, you stop managing tasks and start multiplying impact. And that's how legacies are built, not through exhaustion, but through empowerment, not through burnout, but through brilliant systems, not by being everywhere, but by being exactly where you are needed most. That is the path of high performance. That is the path of true leadership. And it begins with one simple but profound choice: to stop trying to do it all and start learning to elevate all. So what does it mean to lead without controlling? It means you don't obsess over every gear in the machine. You build the machine so it runs with or without you. It means you trade micromanagement for mentorship. You don't just assign tasks, you assign trust. You don't just instruct, you inspire. Because the goal isn't to create followers, it's to create leaders. And you can't do that if your ego demands to be the smartest, the fastest, the most capable in every room. The man who insists on doing everything himself will always remain a slave to his own limitations. But the man who masters delegation becomes limitless. He builds teams that operate in rhythm. He trains minds that think independently. He creates structures that run like clockwork, freeing him to do the work only he can do. Delegation is not about letting go of responsibility. It's about taking full responsibility for the vision and ensuring it's carried further, faster, and stronger than any one man ever could alone. It takes a certain kind of mindset, a mindset that says, "I'm not here to be busy. I'm here to build. I'm not here to grind endlessly. I'm here to scale intelligently." And that mindset requires clarity, Because if you're not clear on what only you can do, you'll waste your energy doing everything. Great leaders know exactly what their highest value tasks are, and they defend those tasks like sacred territory. They don't spend their mornings drowning in emails. They spend their mornings shaping strategy, sculpting vision, and setting the tone for the team. Because when you delegate, right, you don't disappear from the process. You amplify it. You become the center of gravity, not the gravity itself. And people start orbiting around the force of your purpose, not the weight of your presence. That's the secret. Delegation doesn't make you less important. It makes your impact more important. It shifts your focus from control to contribution, from perfection to progress. And it gives you back your most valuable resource, creative space. That sacred space where ideas are born, where strategies are formed, where bold, visionary moves are made. Not in the chaos, but in the clarity. This is where the builders live. They rise in the morning not to manage chaos, but to create order. They look at the day ahead and ask, what can I eliminate? What can I delegate? What is the highest value thing I can do today to move my mission forward? Because leadership isn't about showing up everywhere. It's about showing up where it matters most. And when you understand that, when you live that, you stop being a one-man show and start becoming a movement. That's the art. That's the power. That's the freedom that comes when you no longer see delegation as giving away control, but as giving others a piece of the legacy to carry with you. Because in the end, leadership is not about how much you can carry. It's about how far you can take others with you. The ones who try to hold everything break. But the ones who learn to trust, to teach, to transfer power with purpose, they build what lasts. You were never meant to do it all alone. That was never the point. The point was to create something bigger than you. And you cannot build something bigger than you if you refuse to let go of what's beneath you. So you step back, not to vanish, but to elevate. You delegate, not to escape responsibility, but to scale your reach. You lead, not with ego, but with vision. Because legacy is not about being the one who did it all. Legacy is about being the one who empowered it all. The teams you build, the people you trust, the energy you multiply, that is your real success. Because when you're gone, your hands will no longer work, but your systems will. Your name may fade, but your impact will echo through every person you lifted on the way up. That's what Carnegie did. That's what Ford did. That's what every immortal name in history understood. Power isn't in control. Power is in creation. So if you want to lead, really lead, then learn the art of letting go, so others can rise. Learn the courage to hand over the wheel, so the mission can move further than your reach. And every morning, remind yourself of this. If I must do everything, I will build nothing. But if I teach others to build, together we can build anything. That's the art. That's the way. That's the leader you were born to be.